One way to create a project is to use LibGDX project setup tool. As many other projects, you need to select a name for your project. You can do that by this field. This field is for package name. It has to be unique on the device, so it is better to be of two parts. First part is better to be of your website address or your company name, which is common for you. And second part, your application name. Game class is the first Java class, which will run when your game is running. Destination is your project direction. You can change it by clicking on browser button and select your desired direction. The field of Android SDK is your Android SDK location. You can change it by clicking on browse button if you think this is a wrong location. Sub-projects selection boxes is about which devices you want your game to run. I need Android and desktop. Desktop is because I want to run the game with an Android simulation. I leave these extension selection boxes as default and want to click the generate button. After generation, the tool will say you how to import the project from some IDs. I want to close the current project first. In this window, I want to click on Open an existing project and browse for and search for the project which I've just created. I save the project in drive D and LibGDX proj folder, and its name was sliding puzzle. I have to wait for the project to open completely. If you face a problem, it is better to be online and restart the project and see if the problem is solved. Before proceeding with the project, I thought it is better to show you where the files which we want to use in our game are saved. I named the project Sliding Puzzle. I enter its folder. In the project folder, enter the Android folder, and after that to the asset folder. Well, here is where we saved our files which we want to use in the game. I chose these two files for now to explain how to show a picture on a screen. Well, we are back in Android Studio. On the right sidebar, be sure if the project tab is active. You can see folders of the project here. Click on the core folder and its subfolders to access the main Java class of the game. When I wanted to create the project, I named the main Java class main screen. Double-click on it to open. You can see some codes here which are written when the project is created. This is the default picture name which is common in all the projects that are just created. Now I want to run the project on my Windows OS. I mean on my PC with Android Studio and without any Android simulation. For this, on the right sidebar, on the project sidebar, click on the desktop folder and its subfolders and right-click on Desktop Launcher and click on Run Desktop Launcher.main. After a few seconds, we will see this window, and this is the default picture that is showing. With clicking on this X icon or the stop button, you can finish this run. I want to delete the default codes and write my codes here. To show a picture on a screen, we need a texture variable. You can name it everything you want. I prefer to name it texture with lowercase t. I want to initialize it in the create function. The create is the function that is called when a game wants to run. Now you can address your picture to texture with some methods. One of those methods is gdx.files.internal. In parentheses and in double quotes, entering the file address. You can see your file and its name from here, the assets folder. You have to observe the lowercase and uppercase of the letters of the file name. And another is entering the file address directly. You can only do this for the contents of the assets folder. You need a sprite batch variable to be able to display texture. Be sure which variable from which library you are selecting from the drop-down list. When you are selecting the variable type from the drop-down list, the library is imported automatically. You can see here the libraries which are imported. If you didn't choose the variable type from the drop-down list, you have to import its library here. You need to initialize the sprite batch like texture in the create function. A sprite batch doesn't need to enter anything in the parentheses. Now in the render function you can tell the system to show the picture. The render function runs multi times per second. For example, 60 times per second. We need to enter some orders in the render function for the system to delete everything on the screen before drawing anything. This line of code tells the system to fill the screen with the color defined here. Inside these parentheses, we enter 4 floating numeric parameters between 0 and 1, which include the 3 colors red, green, blue, and alpha as transparency. Whatever the alpha is closer to 0, it will be more transparent. If 3 color numeric parameters are closer to 0, the color is more black and vice versa. Now we are ready to use a sprite batch to draw the texture. A sprite batch always has a begin and an end function, and whatever you want to draw will be between these two. We type here a sprite batch.draw. There is a guide here that shows what you have to enter in parentheses. At least we have to enter a texture or a texture region variable type and an X and Y for the position of that variable type. Execute the code by clicking on this green little triangle icon now. This picture is larger than the size of the screen. Because of that, it looks like so. Now here, we can define how much its width and its height to be. I prefer to enter 200 for both width and height. I want to change the background color to black by changing these three color parameters to 0. You can see here the background color changed to black.